Whoops. Good evening. My name is Hojel. I am, have been, and always will be your very own stranger. And today, we're going to be continuing on with Cultist Simulator. Now, last time we left off, we had just gotten the maximum reason rating. We got outbid on Stum, which makes me a bit sad. And we were burning through a bunch of books, including these ones, which I can't read yet because I need the languages. So today, we're gonna start getting the cult on its way, for real this time. We have a bunch of these people we need to go through, and I guess we can work on Vitality next. While I'm still fired. But anyway. Hello Vay, how are you? The acquaintances aren't very interesting, but in the terms of flavor text, but the rest of them are. Let's start working out. And by working out, I mean doing a bunch of manual labor. And occasionally taking a break to deal with the restlessness that not meeting my goals gives me. Well, I'm not paying for that. You can get your own NFT. You can have the NFT if you want it that badly. Recruit the followers. Start painting. Are all the people in the friend pile eventually going to join the cult? Most of them are. The people at the bottom here aren't quite in the friend pile, and this weary detective is an enemy. These 5 people are more advisors than people who are actually going to join the cult. But everyone here is gonna join the cult. Yeah. There should be 21 major characters and 8 hangers and 8 minor cultists. Why it's like that, I don't know. It just is. Better not get fucking fascination out of this. But, you know, knowing my luck, I am the one who got bid on 5 times in a fucking row when I had very little money. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That should be 7. That should be 9. Well, could you clarify the question, Vay? Well, that's me getting 2 of these at once. Some skips involve getting aesthetic knowledge that bypass the making of a cult. That's some advanced stuff that I'm not really aware of personally. I'm not a speedrunner. There are some... there are alternate starts in this game that let you bring in some high-tier esoteric knowledge, apparently. Which, you then don't need to get with the cult, I guess. But I'm not a speedrunner. I was kind of surprised to learn that. But the thing is, the knowledge you don't get from the cult directly, you get it mostly from books that your cult helps you steal. I can see that, but I guess that's just how the game is. It's not an esoteric awakening to knowledge in general. That's the particular route I'm doing. That's the lantern route. There are various kinds of endings tied to each aspect. I'm just doing a basic bitch lantern route. And lantern is kind of the knowledge route. Anyway, I got more restlessness that I need to burn, so let's make another painting. Because starting a stream is not yet possible. You can't play as the Suppression Bureau directly. There is an opening where you do play as a detective that kind of works for them. But, well, I'm not gonna say the good ending, but the actual proper ending does involve you eventually, well, not keeping that job. Anyway, Katkaro, a bright-eyed, watchful woman who recalls her dreams perfectly. Oh wait, she already is a believer. Violet. Violet has always given unstintingly, that's a word I don't know, of her time, easing the pain of the die. Once we get all these chickens in a row, I'll discuss the particular order I have in them, because there is actually a 7-aspect cycle that I have laid out here, which I will go more into detail once I'm busy statting up, because once I'm done statting up, because I would like to get the stats out of the way early. For no other reason than because I'm still gathering funds. And there she goes, trembling in the air. And old and happy far off things. Moth finds the light in the dark, and so do I. So, Violet likes to paint. She has a gift, although she's always been very modest about it. She never puts human figures in her paintings. There are enough people in the world. How about Valcian? That's how I'm choosing to pronounce it. Valcian has operated her establishment for almost 20 years. She has never employed an assistant. Her hands are terribly strong. I'm guessing she might be Edge. I don't actually remember her. But, like I said last time, this time we might go into more detail on what the aspects are. But yeah, there is a minor victory, is what it's called, where instead of actually pursuing anything of the occult sort, you get a reasonably well-off life as a regular person, which is very much easier to get than a major victory, or official victory, but it is fun that there are ways to just retire. Forge. Volscian's ingenuities are endless, and her grip is stronger than a blacksmith. That makes sense. Forge is also strength. Victor is a sly fellow, and he knows an unusual opportunity when he sees it. That's definitely Nock. That's the missing aspect we haven't seen yet. Or haven't seen much of yet, anyway. There are, by the way, other hunters than this weary detective, but I'm gonna choose not to kill him so they won't come out, because this weary detective isn't that bad. Victor! Nope, Edge. I am so bad. Victor is a sly fellow, but loyal. I am so bad at guessing these people's aspects. Just gonna let my restlessness turn into dread so it can counter me seeing things. I'm pretty sure I don't need to do this anymore, but I'm just gonna. I can always go back to having difficulties at work later. Plus, after this, I need to start fucking painting. Tristan. Tristan dislikes distractions. Tristan likes results. Simple and to the point. Isabeth. We already did that. Isabeth has always been most comfortable by moonlight. She has excellent night vision. She is often overlooked in daylight. That's either Nock or Moth. Shadows are shelter from light. Despair is ballast. Even misery has its uses. Mirrors are calm. The sun is steady. The glory recedes. I am sane, if that means anything. I'm just gonna throw these two glimmerings on here before I pop all of these. Because after that, I will never have to deal with this nonsense again. And that is something that excites me. Throw the fleeting reminiscence on there. Actually, fuck it. Restlessness, because the game won't fucking stop. Moth. Hey look, I got one right for once. Moth goes next to Grail and Lantern. Porter. Porter was a barber until the court case. Okay, barbers... Okay, one of the things about the Moth aspect is that the Moth can, if you squint a bit, look like a pair of shears, so barbers are of the Moth aspect. Be right back 1 second. I have returned. Guess we'll throw some money at this. Porter plies his razor and his scissors to the great advantage of his friends. Dorothy! Dorothy is an enthusiastic sort with an eclectic reading habit. She's fascinated by my hints about the shapes beneath the world's skin. That is almost certainly a lantern. Oh no, I'm sick. Whatever shall I do? Glances at the pile of vitality I have. Alright, so, this, and this. And now we pick an aspect. Lantern is not gonna work. Nothing on this lore will be of use here. I must choose something else. So, I can either become strong through Forge, or through Edge, or I can become graceful through Grail, and through Moth, and through Heart. I'm guessing Winter also doesn't help. Okay. So, raw strength or unnatural grace? I'm gonna go with the raw strength, actually. I will burn with the strength of the Forge of Days. It doesn't really matter which source of raw strength that I pick. It's just a binary choice. Anyway, while I'm doing that, let's paint with some Mystique instead of actual passion. Because that is a thing we can do for some reason. And let's make it a mood piece, and let's also burn this fascination, because fuck that. Actually, what am I doing? I learned last time that if you paint about these things, they last longer. Dorothy is an enthusiastic sort, and I have turned her enthusiasm to our advantage. Next, Neville. Neville pauses before he speaks, and flinches easily. He laughs whenever he thinks you've made a joke. Damn it, I keep doing that in the wrong order. Side note, using no passion and nothing but Mystique here is basically selling out. You're putting no effort into the damn thing, you're just, you know, coasting off your reputation. Which is kind of interesting. Speaking of reputation, look who's here. Neville pauses before he speaks and flinches easily. He's sensitive to deeper matter. And here we have our 8th aspect, Knock. The lore that opens wounds, and, well, the lore that opens things that ought to remain closed. Pope Clifton, a bellowing and unorthodox Catholic with a mystic streak and an untrimmed beard. So basically, exactly. So basically, Rasputin. But I don't care as long as I get more glimmering out of it. And let's make an actual fucking painting then. Still about my lessons learned about glimmering though, because I'm just using this as an excuse to stat out. Composure. Was that something I was gonna do? I do realize that I could be going into the dream realm and making this easier on myself, but I don't fucking want to. Anyway, Pope Clifton. Now Clifton improvises new players rich with solar metaphors. He still shouts like a soldier and drinks like a sailor. You may notice I'm sorting them while I put them here. That's just one of my layouts. Oh, right. I need to dream on this before my vitality decays. The colors of night are sanguine, my brother. I make one painting with all my passion and one painting about how much of a shit I give about the people that keep wanting to nose into my business. Eau Claire is quite meticulous and remorseless. Did I read this one before I did it? I think I might have skipped this one. Whoops. Oh well. I'm sure it'll have been on the screen for a split second. Let's not do that again, hang on. Enid speaks softly, and sometimes her gaze doesn't focus on anything visible. It may be that you've dreamed the same dreams. Jesus Christ, I can't talk. I've created something both distinctive and beautiful. It will very likely enhance my reputation. My recent work has drawn some attention. Something should sell. Also, for the record, these books here, they are, I believe, 3-part sets. So, I'm just gonna try and get all 3 before I read them, because I feel like that will be much more interesting. Also, while you use your mystique in this, it doesn't decay, so go from oldest to newest. I'm not painting about my fascination, I'm sorry. That is dangerous as shit. I mean, it's not dangerous in particular, it's just that painting already creates fascination, and you don't want to use it to then also store fascination. Enid speaks softly, and sometimes her gaze doesn't focus on anything visible. She sees things that others don't. You are not in the right spot. I also don't know how to say this name. Enid? Craig Slee, the astronomer and avant-garde poet, has developed an interest in the esoteric as his health wanes. That almost sounds like winter. Painting seems cool. You'd play a painter. Well, you're always a painter, so, well, your passion work is always going to be painting, so you're always a painter in a sense. Painting is how you express your emotions the best. There is one DLC route where you are slightly more a painter. You are also a couple of other things. That is the winter aspect route. And I'll be going over the aspects. Slee speaks earnestly of his theories to all who will listen. The stars as tiny wounds, and the sun as a hemorrhage of glory. His poetry is more eccentric than ever. Leo, an acquaintance. Leo is an earnest sort with an interest in the occult. He hangs on your hints about the invisible arts. That is the least helpful description ever. I don't know what that would even turn into. Sorry. I think I have enough glimmering. Just let that. I may have overdone it slightly. And now that I'll stop painting, maybe the hunter will finally leave me alone. Which would be nice, because, I would kind of like him to leave me alone. Leo is an earnest sort, but he's prepared to do what he must. Elridge, an acquaintance. An elegant man of inelegant habits. That's Grail. That's 100% Grail. Plus, these bottom 3 spots don't get filled. So, that's definitely Grail. I believe Rosa is... I don't remember. I take Rosa as Moth, but I'm not sure. Once I've finished standing up, we can go into phase 2 of Cultist Simulator Run. Actually doing shit with your cult. Elridge has almost learned not to pick his teeth with his knife in conversations. He has not yet learned to leave his knife in his boot. Oh, he's not Edge. Did I misremember? Oh, Sylvia, you don't belong here. I was like, that doesn't seem right. And it didn't. Also, yes, I'm continuously using the same lore to talk to them. Rose is a slime miss, and she recognizes you as someone uncommon. And I guess I'll read her too, but in a second. And now, glimmering. We go from a fevered imagination to Lantern doesn't help here. Neither do the more physical aspects of fire, and so it's either unreason for Moth and or folly for Trail, and I don't think maybe Nock would have infected it, but I don't have a Nock lore. Okay. It would be funny to combine a rarefied mind with unreason. You know what? Let's do it. Cut my hair. Cut my bonds. Cut my snip, snip, snip. And after that, we can discuss the aspects and in which order they somewhat go. I would like to do that when I have all 8 of them, though. So I would need to do something. Oh, it is a third edge. I was right. Rose is a slime miss, but loyal. I feel like I've heard that description already. And that's because I have. Which is kind of appropriate because edge aspects often come in pairs. As a bit of advanced lore to you. I kinda don't want to read these, but I'm gonna have to, aren't I? Or I could just, you know, read the fucking textbooks instead of being weird about it. Rhaenyra continues to pursue her appetites discreetly, although her ambitions have grown. And that is our latest customer. So now I can get... well, not from you. I can get some commissions from these folks. I can also sacrifice someone to Poppy. I'm not gonna do that yet. Or I can send my cult on to cult business. The problem is, my cult sucks, so I'm not gonna do that. Bring me your answers, and I shall defeat them with my questions. Never know. The more, the more, the more, the... So now, I can no longer get any stronger. I have 5 of each kind of stat. So now I must gather strength in a different reason. Wait. And that is by reading the occult scraps and delving into the world of dreams. The moonlit road. I know this dream. A road crests a hilltop, and the air is silver bright. And that is the moon. If I engage in an occult practice before I sleep, I might find the way to a deeper dream. The Watchman's Secret. The bleached way. I could sleep in a room without colors, bleach the sheets, whitewash the walls, dye my hair, and paint my skin. While we're doing that, I'm gonna look for someone to hire. Actually, I should probably go exploring first, before I try to hire someone. I don't want a free anyway. Actually, fuck it, I might send you to rob some people. Because remember, they need to find 2 pieces of evidence before they can actually convict me of anything. I'm gonna start painting soon. Color exists only where there is light, and the wood is the place where light does not walk. In the dream, I close my eyes and walk stumbling, bruising my feet and knees. At last, the undergrowth before me grows too thick to pass, and when I open my eyes, I am adrift among black trees. Shadows flutter. My feet will know the way back to this place. And that gives me a buzzing in the brain. In Hiram imus nocte et consumi snip snip snip. This is an aspect influence. It's a temporary source of aspect power. And also, Morph continues to be weird. More importantly, I've learned the way to the wood, the tangled darkness that grows around the walls of the manses, though the manses has no walls. I can dream with this to return to the wood. If I have enough passion, I can walk the dream road to the wood. If I have the right knowledge, I might be able to find a way beyond. We will not yet go beyond it. Now I pass between scar-barked trees. The moon passes behind branches, though her fingers remain in my hair. I am stumbling over roots now. It is tempting to drop to all fours to avoid the low branches. Pale wings move deep in the night. The main thing we will be looking for in these dreams are occult scraps. Crowded thoroughfares by day, a fog-wrapped Neverland. I'll walk the streets. Oh wait, no, don't do that. Instead, seek out the secret places of the city. There are places in the city where I can find extraordinary things, if I can sift the clues out of history and rumor. So this pink 9th aspect here is what you spend to discover locations to find stuff in. Also, I said I was going to read these books. Improve my Latin. I recall a certain amount from my school days, but I need to brush up. They say I can do the job of any 2 others together. It's not true. Not quite. Like the mountain. Oh shit. That was a mistake. Well, the wolf decided it can have me for a bit. Oh, also, significant conversations in a smoky meeting room. What do I need from my follower? Hoodwink. My believer might be able to part fools from their treasures, if they're lucky. Fortunately, I don't care if they're lucky. Well, I care a bit. I don't want the notoriety, but oh well. And here we have the world of dreams. I will not be going over this entire thing, because right now we are in the wood. So, when you go into a dream, you get an option. One choice is revealed, 2 choices are hidden. I don't want this choice, because this doesn't do anything for me. So I will be going to the well instead. And I get a furtive truth. And then you drag that to where you entered the dream. And you get a small text of what happens and the thing you chose. Through the wood. The velvet is strong at the well in the wood, and the velvet is the hour that keeps secrets. But now and then she lets a little secret fall, like a crumb at a feast. Last night I found a moss-clad rock written all around with the secrets of another history. I might give thanks to the velvet, but it will be wiser not to draw her attention. And this is how we will be gathering more of these. And be ready for that to interrupt us a lot, because I will be going there for a bit. Also, you can, this is a tier 4 or a tier 2. You can deconstruct this into two tier 1s if you want, which is helpful. This place merits closer investigation. It sure does, but we're gonna gather all of them. Wait. Don't kill your run on stupid shit though. There's too much dread already. 2 passion is fine. I'm sure you'll be fine. You'll be able to interpret something of the doors of the palace of my memory are open. I'm sure you'll be able to interpret something in the shapes used in the Mansa's V. Of course I have a little Greek already, but I'll need more than a little. This is a hidden door, that's not too bad. There is one that I would like not to get. Which is a hospital. So back here we are. I don't need a peculiar rumor, so back to the well we go, and just some vitality. That's right. The well is the wood. The well in the wood is sacred to the Grail, the hour that hungers, and to the velvet, the hour that guards secrets. Tonight, as I approached, it heaved with the velvet's moss, struggling waves of deep and vibrant cream, pulsing again and again from its throat. It surged around my calves, froze through my thighs, and this morning I still feel the velvet's breath strong within me. Now we do our own traveling at night. Gator and Hero Limited. That did not give me contentment. That's a shame. I was beginning to worry that my follower had arranged their own disappearance, but it seems their deception was detected. The victim was outraged, and my follower barely escaped alive. Fortunately, it's a hireling, so I don't give a shit. A determined and distinctive tongue, but I have the measure of Improve my knowledge of the invisible arts. If I have two lore fragments of the same level and aspect, I can study them together or to improve my understanding. Or I can use another type of lore to subvert it. Or you can use reason to return to the fundamentals. Sometimes I might need to return to a more basic understanding of a particular piece of lore. Also, interestingly about the matchless physique, you are dangerous. Direct confrontation is always unwise, but in the last resort, if it comes to a struggle, I am very dangerous. Oh look, this thing's gonna spawn, gonna catch this dread, because of course it is. Also, traveling at night is not the most safe of things to do. You can find some afflictions in there, and by that I mean this fascination and dread. I'll take the occult scrap though. I walked in the wood last night, and the scissors worked in the distance, and the fur things crammed my mouth and swarmed my ears, and I felt the old urge to drop to wolf force and nose among the roots. But I remembered that I walk upright by day, and I know fire and steel and words, and at last I found where the velvet had concealed a secret on tree bark beneath moss. I read it then with the tips of my fingers, and I think now I could write it in full. Which is convenient because I need some more occult scrap. I guess we're painting again. Traveling at night be damned. The Congregation of St. Felix of Skuren. I assume that's pronounced Skuren. I don't actually know. Inspiration. Just a fleeting reminiscence. Analysis is a kind of vivisection. Reason is the knife. The dreams read like the Book of Revelation. I can kind of see that. These dreams in particular do. Although in fairness I say that, but I don't read these. I'm too lazy to read them. I mean, you are starting a cult. It would only be right that it would have religious undertones. Especially because there are, you know, actual gods involved. Those gods being the hours. St. Annius Hospital. This one is cursed. And I mean that literally. It's cursed. And curses are kind of bad if you can't avert them. So I'm not fucking with that. I should probably read Garthsight's Sanskrit reader. Or Sanskrit read. A lucid book which outlines a careful path through the thickets of a vast and complex language. The name has been retranslated as the Refined Language. I'm sure you'll enjoy that one, Faye. That's another book 1. That's another book 2. Temple of the Wheel. In my sleep, I came through the high jagged rock which is still called the Temple of the Wheel. Although the hour called the Wheel is long extinct. Another hand had scratched a secret in the black lantern on its flank. I burned that secret into my memory to preserve for waking before the velvet came out of the velvet wood. Before the velvet came out of the velvet wood depths and erased it. The velvet is jealous of her secrets. So the velvet seems to handle these things a lot, the secret histories. Strathcoin's residence, and I believe that this is the last one. My own heart pumps wisdom. So many words, such little time. I will keep my reference works close at hand. And now we start translating shit. I'm gonna keep these two as is. I'm gonna keep this as is. In Latin, an 18th century epic poem by the pseudonymous Solipsistos. Go in the thing! Alright. You need to do that in particular. Lock the study door. The work begins. Oh no, I'm gonna get sick again. Whatever shall I do? Except, you know, sleep it off. Well, shit. That had to happen. I came to the temple of the wheel, that high and jagged rock, that memorial to dead gods. Those who take their own lives sometimes first cast themselves from its peak in dream. I found another sleeping soul, scratching the sign of the eye onto the lichen at its peak. Lichen? Into the lichen at its peak. I do not recall what passed between us, but I will recognize their face in the waking world. Unfortunately, I can't do anything with that, because I already have all my contacts. Probably just gonna burn. Actually, I don't need to burn that, because that's sickness, and I don't care about. And that is gonna burn before the visions come back. And the Forsaken Reach. This is not the same color, which means this is a repeating one. These other ones are unique. Now I need to... I'm just gonna send my minion instead of using my own health. It has the same effect, it's just doesn't use my health. And I don't need these spawns for anything anyway. Anyway, the Forgotten Mithraeum is somewhat easy to do. These first ones I like to do with hirelings, just because I don't like to risk my cultists while they're still weak. I mean, I don't like to risk my cultists in general, but... Oh look, that fascination is too late. Lol. The Bellus Murorum. The poem elliptically describes a war between beasts, weather phenomena, and arcane concepts. It's quite specific about their tactics. Ooh, a muff. Ooh, an experienced swindler. That's nice. Buy their loyalty. I guess I should read this. I found someone whom I might pay to enact regrettable necessities. This will buy their loyalty for now. How delightful it is to be working with you. This hireling. So, the reason I'm hiring this one in particular is because he has a 5 here, and that means he can have higher success chances than people below a 5 have. There's really 3 tiers. There's having the aspect at all, there's getting to level 5, and there's getting to level 10. Now, they don't have to get the aspect by themselves, they can have help, but, you know, starting at level 5 sure makes things easier. And plus, if he fucks up and gets injured, I can let him die. Because he is officially not my problem. That's what you are paid for, motherfucker. The 2-1 joined, and the horn distinguished. Consequently, blood. The Chiliarch's lesson. I'm not reading those books because those come in sets and I want to have the entire set. So, on what is contained by silver. A bestiary by Pomander in Greek. This will buy their loyalty, for now. So, the congregation of Saint Felix of Skuren, I think that's pronounced Skuren, a nonconformist enclave of a heterodox sect of a Calvinist offshoot, tucked away in an odd corner of the city. They belt out hymns with unsuitable gusto, in a throat-scraping language that is very much not quite Latin. So now we go to here, I send my mook, and I give him some money to do shit. Membership of the congregation is strictly controlled. It may even be inherited. The safest approach is to burgle the minister's residence while he's conducting a service, but the sworn mothers of the congregation guard the place in shifts, and they are not easily distracted. Maybe this isn't the best. Maybe this isn't the best place to go. Strathcoyle's residence may be more suited for him. Because I don't know if Moth works against monks. Strathcoyle's residence. The house of Mr. Strathcoyle, a collector of rare objects. Strathcoyle will not sell his treasures, but a sufficiently cunning accomplice might gain entry. Mr. Strathcoyle has forbidden entry to his library. Unfortunate. Let's see what we can do. The advantage of working the health job is that I have infinite vitality. I don't need occult scraps anymore. Nice. This is the same one as one we've already done, so I'm not reading this one. I am, however, gonna get this affliction fixed. And the old and happy far off things means I need to paint something again. Well, need is a strong word. The problem is I know where most of the early knock lore is, and that's in the locksmith stream. But I kinda would like to read those as a set. Watchers. So, an expedition, you give some money, it takes 1 money per attempt at an obstacle, and it gives you an obstacle, which is on the right here. In this case, the obstacle is our watchers. Mortals, perhaps even ordinary mortals, but quite a number of them. They can be fought, seduced, or deceived. So you need to answer the threat with one of your aspects. In this case, I'm going to distract them using the Moth aspect. Also, these have the Guardian aspect, an entity that has been charged with preventing entry. Not that that's too relevant, but they do have that. So this is how you get from early game to mid game. You can't buy books anymore, so now you have to go find them in less legal ways. And you can send your cults to do this, but all my cult is weak, so I don't wanna. On what is contained by silver, a dire bestiary of the horrors to be found in mirrors. This is a recent edition of a 3rd century text by Bowmander. Against the Watchers, a likely deception. Awake! Awake! They're upon us! That way! Quickly! Let's go a little further in the woods. So do any of the endings actually involve summoning anything? I don't know if the endings themselves involve summoning things, but you can definitely summon things. That's what these rites are for. I'm not really properly set up to actually do any of the rites. Like this rite of the Crucible Soul. This rite uses an instrument of power to set the blood of fire. Fire is the lesion in the skin of the world. The assistant rarely survives unharmed. So this one involves sacrificing a human. Guess why I'm not that fond of this one. Oh look, I'm sick again. I'm not that scared of the bleak thoughts. The virgin maidens of the mirror favor orchids. The behindlings favor the rhododendron. Cut flowers of either nature should not be placed before polished bronze. An appendix contains a rite which might be used to summon some of these entities, although the details of its use are not made clear. And we get a monster's glimpse, and the rite of the Watchman's sorrow. And now we get a true and complete accounting of the Asclepian mysteries of the roots of the house, reproduced by one Riley Grease from, supposedly, a much older text, in Greek. So there are definitely summonings, you mostly do them via rites. They are more gameplay than really story, I would say. Though you do eventually do the rites for, do a rite to continue your actual ending progression too, but that's not a summoning. Let's go to the temple again. Ever read this one yet? Yeah, I read this one already. I could read it again, but instead, I am gonna be right back. Alright, I'm back. Let's continue on. What was I doing? Oh, the watchers fell while I wasn't paying attention. Because of course they did. This sickness can stay here for a while. This fascination does need to go though. Strathcoin's cozy sanctum. A fire smolders in the grate. Glass cases display hard-won trinkets. We must seize what we can, quickly. Strathcoin may already have telephoned the police. I think my layout needs to move up a bit. And now we have completed our first expedition. Out into the night. We escape unseen, but the next day there are reports of a fire at Strathcoin's. Did someone knock a live coal onto the hearthrug? Or did Strathcoin destroy the place himself, as part of some larger scheme? So every time you do this, you gain 1 notoriety, which can easily get out of hand if you're not a bit careful with managing that. Fortunately, there is an easy way of dealing with notoriety, and that's to send a hot follower on cult business. And unlike most cult business, this one doesn't involve your... Who is the lady on the front banner of Cultist Simulator? Hang on. I don't actually know who this is per se. If you mean this one. I don't know if that actually is someone in particular, like I'm not the ultimate lore master, or if that's just someone to look cool. Like, I'm not sure is I guess my answer. So she doesn't appear as a card, not as far as I know. Okay, so descriptions of the Asclepian mysteries reproduced by one Riley Grease from supposedly a much older text. It's unlikely to be genuine, but it makes a reference to the house without walls and its wood right there in the prologue. This is very obviously not an ancient text. At the very least, it has been badly mutilated, but it contains substantial intriguing material, especially a persuasive comparison of the many-portaled house without walls to the human body. You know what? I think the moth does work against monks. I think it's Grail that does work against monks. So the Congregation of St. Felix Obscure. Membership is strictly forbidden, controlled. It may even be inherited, safe as burgled. But the sworn mothers of the congregation guard the place in shifts, and they are not easily distracted. Go, my experienced swindler. Treatise of Underplaces. Ooh, Traveling at Night Volume 3. That's nice. I believe it is a 3-volume set. Or at least 3 volumes, so... Wait, that's the Locksmith's Dream. The Locksmith's Dream... Well, this just says the 4th volume, so now I'm missing a volume. Weirdly, so far there are not as much blind side equals extra side analogies as much as in other occult fiction. I guess. This place definitely has, like, actual lore more than just a vague reference to real-life occult things. Like, there are some references to occult practice, but... I will say one thing, the lantern aspect, the one about actual occult knowledge, well, about, yeah, you'll figure it out when you actually play, or when you see me, but, the funny thing is, one of the names, or not names with it, but one of the ways that The Watchman, the primary hour of the lantern aspect is known by, is the door in the eye. So, make of that what you will. Monks. Contemplatives blessed or condemned to service here. They are bound by their curious ways. We can murder them or deceive them, but they will not be seduced. So yeah, you can still try to distract them, but they're not gonna respond to seduction quite as properly. Anyway, I was gonna set you on occult business. And by occult business, I mean charming to hopefully get rid of the notoriety. Not everyone is sympathetic to our aims, but if we have our problems with our reputation, our believer might be able to smooth them over. Alternatively, I could just temporarily pause my reputation. And stop. Time to sell out and not at all just cover for the fact that I've been doing shit that's heavily illegal. Like driving someone to burn their own place down. The direction of death is down, the book explains. The Peacock Door has been considered a rent or an abrasion, but in some respects is more like a mouth, if not a more treasured point of entry. Discussion of the doors include a rite which may conjure creatures through those doors, although key incantations are missing. So we have the rite of the map's edge, one of the more useful rites if I remember, and more words that walk. So I believe there are 3 volumes in the travel. Oh wait, whoops. But let's start with those. With this one, a treatise on underplaces. Herein, the 17th century mystic and antiquarian Claude Hersault describes the bounds or underplaces on the borders of dreams. He warns that they shift over time. The walls of the manses, Hersault begins, are the size of starlight. Many of his directions are equally unhelpful, but common relationships do emerge. The monks, a likely deception. This writ of entry bears the seal of the highest authority. Do not stand in our way. I should probably be careful with my money. What the hell is an apostle? What do you mean exactly? Oh, that's not in this run. So, if you complete a basic run, like a non-DLC run, that is technically not a complete victory. Then you do a second run where the character of the first run has ascended into the House of Dreams, the Manses, and you need to help him ascend even higher. But that's some advanced shit. That's also technically a spoiler, but this game's years old, who cares? I haven't done all of them yet. Actually, no, I haven't finished an Apostle ending yet. Because Apostle endings are, unusually difficult. Because unlike regular endings, there is a particular person who really doesn't like your, previous person you played. Because they would like to, you know, also ascend. Well, shit, my, swindler got wrecked. Oh well, that's why we hire hirelings. Holy shit, and Nicky Van right. Holy shit, we actually have a later. Okay. Time out. We're talking about this. So, you may have noticed that I have laid these lore pieces out side by side here. And I have put them in a very particular order, and that is because this lore forms a cycle. So the cycle starts, well, it's a circle, it doesn't start, but we start with heart. Heart is the aspect of rhythm and of life. The heart's relentless beats to protect the skin of the world we understand. The heart is the principle that continues and preserves. Heart, as an aspect, leads into the next aspect, which is Grail. Grail, hunger, lust, the drowning waters. The principle of the Grail honors both the birth and the feast. Grail is about lust and gluttony. Gluttony and other types of consumption, pretty much. It is about the very physical pleasures, one would say. Grail then gets subverted. Grail then leads to the next step, which is the aspect of Moth. Moth. I knew a man who captured moths in a bell jar. On nights like this, he would release them one by one to die in the candle. Moth is the wild and perilous principle of chaos and yearning. Moth is about desires and of randomness. Moth is chaos. Moth is the allure of the light. Moth can be tempered into lantern. Life is a pure flame, and we live by an invisible sun within us. Thomas Brown. Lantern is the principle of the secret place sometimes called the House of the Sun, and of the light above us. Lantern is above all others the principle of the other world, of the things behind the veil, of prophecy and of extraordinary knowledge. The small light of the lantern becomes the big light of the forge. Fire, I once read, is the winter that warms and the spring that consumes. The principle of the forge transforms and destroys. Forge is fire, and forge is both the fire and the anvil. It is both the structure. Let me try that again. Forge is both the fire and the anvil. It is both the transformation and the destruction. The forge destroys, the forge makes anew. In the forge is made the edge. All conquest occurs at the edge. One who dwells there is blind and cannot be wounded. Another is strong and grows stronger. Edge is the principle of battle and of struggle. This one's pretty simple. Edge is danger. Danger. If it's dangerous, it's probably edge. If it's a risk to your life, it's edge. And finally, after the edge comes the winter. Winter is the principle of silence, of endings, and of those things that are not quite dead. These are the 7 aspects of the cycle. There is an 8th aspect, the aspect of knock. Unique about knock is that all things can be turned into knock. Knock is, one could say, at the center of the cycle. The knock permits no seal and no isolation. It thrusts us gleefully out of the safety of ignorance. The knock is the principle that opens doors and unseams barriers. Knock is the lore of holes. Holes in the skin between worlds, holes in doors and in barriers, or holes in your skin. Wounds are also unlocked. And finally, there is the ninth aspect, which isn't quite the same aspect. The same aspect as it's much more specific and much less of an overall form. There are no cultists of the ninth aspect. The secret histories. History is the scar on the world's skin. Secret histories describe the unknown complexities of the world and its many pasts. The secret histories are the histories before the present one. We are in the fifth histories, there are 4 prior. Those are the 9 main aspects in Cultist Simulator. The Wainscot Histories. Subtitle Stories from Behind the Walls, a miscellany of non-traditional histories compiled by William Gore, including battles not generally acknowledged in countries which appear on no map, told in a playful, apparently fictional manner. Gore does not mention the Menses directly, but constant coy metaphorical references to ascending the staircase of years, to the doors of sleep, and to the blue light of dawn suggest he had commerce with the unseen world. No one understands this, or else they understand us too well. Oh well. That's fine. I'll just throw up a smokescreen in the form of even more mystique. Fortunately, failing an expedition doesn't give you notoriety. It does apparently give you dread, though. Which, honestly, I could really do without. Anyway, I need a new stooge. It was common in that time to speak of the division of the sun, by which contemporaries understood the eruption of the barbarian forces and of their uncouth gods. So does the game reward you more for keeping your cultists or getting the most utility out of them? You definitely get rewards for getting the utility out of them. I just don't like getting them injured because, 1, I am that kind of person, and 2, if they get injured, they either die or you have to heal them. And you can't heal them forever either. So getting them injured is just all kinds of annoying. Like, I am definitely underutilizing them, but that's fine. I'm not trying to speedrun. Jerk Simulator. Well, this game is trying to kill you. I'm handling it because I've played this game a lot, but between the notoriety... Also, that's the other thing with doing the cult stuff. You get notoriety. And I would rather not... Ooh! An entry consultant. That means I can go after that hidden door. A light in the skull. Yeah, not that important. So, this guy grabs a reputation at random. So there is some merit in getting my mystique up to give him more targets to not pick the notoriety. At least that's how I think it works. I'm not entirely sure. I think it's at random. It definitely doesn't pick the oldest one. Like, it picked that one, and that one's pretty new. I really only need him to pick one more Mystique, because Mystique just keeps him around longer but isn't actually dangerous in itself. So, Mr. Hireling, I would like you to help me to go to the Forgotten Mithraeum. Mithraeum? How do you say that? I'm convinced the Mithraeum... Okay, curiosity seekers have picked over this ancient temple, but there may be a hidden door here somewhere? You do think it's cool that passion is an eye looking inward and reason is an open eye outward? Yeah, I guess that is an interpretation. One is definitely what you see when the eye is open, and the other when the eye is closed. I'm convinced the Mithraeum still holds secrets that its discoverers never found. It's unlikely to be dangerous, but search will require funds. I hope not too many funds, because I'm still not rich. The expedition continues, and this time it's a hidden door. Hidden doors can be found with lantern or knock. Lantern to know where the activation mechanism is through extraordinary knowledge, and knock because, you know, it's a barrier. Oh, also I have the Journal of Alessandro Lacrosse. Prince Alessandro Lacrosse spent years in the secret study of the tablets taken from the Fucine marshes in central Italy. His work will allow you to decipher Fucine texts. Develop an understanding of the long-dead Fucine language. It has something in common with Latin and something else in common with the scratchings of maddened rats. Fucine is the first variant language on a real language. Fucine doesn't exist, but it is a variant on Latin, which does exist. We call upon the beach crow who opens the earth. We are skilled in uncovering hidden ways. We'll probably find this hidden door. I need to sell this poetry. Why do I still have this? In places it overlaps with languages I know. In other places, well, I can see why they call it the tongue of witches, but I can understand it well enough now. I'll just put this at the other end of Latin. And now I have all three versions of Traveling at Night, Volume 1. The Annotated Dream Journals of Christopher Illapoli, sometimes called the only readable occultist. Literate, entertaining, bewildering. The wood lies outside the walls of the Manses. As any student of history knows, the Manses has no walls. Hooray, we won. I should remember to read the other end of those. And oh look, the exotic cravings are bothering us again. I don't think knock is useful for anything else at the moment. But I can always send them to go steal. Make his money back, you know. How many types of problem can you solve with funds? What do you mean, Valen? How valuable is funds as a resource priority? Well, if you run out of them, you fucking die. And you also need funds to go on expeditions at all, so... Because every attempt at solving a problem burns 1 funds. So they are pretty valuable. Ooh. We got some stuff that isn't books. Ooh, some refulsion. That's... Ooh, if I had stronger lore, that would be really good. Like, you can hire hirelings with funds, you can cure illnesses with funds, but you can't solve your mental health, you can't buy off your reputation, and you do eat 1 funds every 60 seconds. Well, when the timer's running. Also, this empty Bethlehem, we can now move our cult into at some point. I'm not gonna, but we can do that. Because we do have a headquarters, it's not used for a whole lot, but you do have it. Also, goddammit, the fucking cascading, what kind of hireling is this? Ooh, a fortune teller. That might be nice. So how valuable is funds as a resource priority? I mean, your run ends if you don't have any. And they are spent on a bunch of things, like they are spent on getting more books. Yeah, you need to keep working. I mean, your run doesn't instantly end if you run out. You just... Screw the old man in the beginning, yeah. Your run doesn't instantly end when you run out, but you do get sick. And by sick, I mean hungry. And if you don't have any health and get sick, you do die. So you do not want to run out of funds. Anyway, Volume 2 of the Traveling at Night. The annotated dream journals of Christopher Illipoli, sometimes called the only readable occultist. Literate, entertaining, bewildering. This is the 2nd volume. There is an extensive discussion of the similarities between Illipoli's own dreams and those of the Emperor Elagabalus, who Illipoli regards as a dupe or avatar of the sun in rags. The white is the west of the world, Illipoli remarks, and winter does not wait forever. That almost feels like a Game of Thrones reference. But yeah, money and restlessness are the 2 clocks that the game forces on you. The other loose conditions you can somewhat easily just pump the brakes on. Oh god, he found a notoriety. That's less ideal, because now I might have to send a hireling to destroy the evidence. But in the meantime, I have a fortune teller, and I'm gonna send him to the destroyed building. Caterer Hero Limited. It has been abandoned since the explosion when both the owners died. The machine stands silent. The building is a collapsing shell. Mr. Cater was known to display peculiar trinkets in his office. Perhaps some yet remain. The remaining factory walls could topple at any moment. Blackened timbers creak in pain. We must equip ourselves properly and move with dreadful care. Oh look, fascination, then I don't have to care about the restlessness. Actually, I did have to care because I got the bleak thoughts timer. Oh well. I've got contentment, it's fine. Elagabalus found his way to the White Door at last. Thankfully, speech can't pass the White Door, and honestly, Elagabalus had never had anything very interesting to say. I tried to follow in his footsteps, but I never learned enough of the White. I suppose I'm thankful for that too. But here's what I do know. A sexton's secret. I know all the secrets. I should probably read these at some point. Well, all but one. Illipoli this is Well, this is the third volume. Illipoli's how do you say that? Why are you saying Elagabalus like that, Valent? Have I spelled that correctly?
Disquisition.
Illipoli's disquisitions on fire and the unburned god are interrupted by passages of distractingly erotic poetry addressed to Baldomera. You say that as if you recognize that name, Valent, and I would love to hear more. Meanwhile, my entry consultant has returned with money and an iron spintria, which is occult money. Which is nice of them. Treacherous grounds, pits and quags and sudden tumbles. The earth here cannot be trusted. We will need strong hands or clear sight, forge or letter. That's another name for Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, author of Meditations. Whenever people ask Dr. K for books to read on spirituality, he recommends that book. Oh! I suppose I shouldn't be surprised by that, but that's interesting. It would be Alexis Kennedy to refer to people by their lesser known names. But yeah, we got some occult money out of our burglary, and also some more notoriety, which I should probably do something about. Iron Spintria. Initiates of the Hidden World use Spintriae to pay for services. Iron Spintriae are the lowest denomination and display scenes of murder on their reverse sides. Spintriae can be solved for more traditional files. I barely ever do that. I should probably do that more, but it's one of those I can't really be bothered things. We call upon the Watchman, who illuminates. The Watchman will lend virtue to our lamps, that they will show us the perils to avoid. Probably. Oh god, he made evidence. Which means I need to do something about that. Also, speaking of Elagabalines, here we have Elagabalus, here we have the Elagabaline Manacle. It does not relinquish its grip. A winter tool. Tools aren't really relevant right now. But I am gonna sort this. The refulgent very easily can get relevant, though. Anyway, read this. And where's my button? Thanks for reminding me that I am in fact a real streamer, but no thank you. To reach the stag door, I believe that all you really need is to want something enough. But I've never wanted anything that much, except of course Baldomera, and I'm very much afraid that the nut in the story is this. What Baldomera wants is the stag door. But here's something I learned in Persia. Perhaps it'll teach you what you want. A smith's secret. Safe across the treacherous ground. We're mud spattered and thorns scratched, but we've made it through. The victory texts probably aren't that exciting, but for completeness sake. Oh god, that's a season of visions, because of course it is. Ooh, vital pigment. That I can also not work with, but oh well. And now I should probably stop tempting fate. Cater's office. Here is the capricious room where Mr. Cater once watched his workers on the factory floor. The window glass is long gone, and rats and crows have made this place their battleground, but perhaps there is still something of use here. Working with my notoriety is not gonna help keep me safe. I'm gonna have to take some risks. I can't read these books, but I can translate them. Two floorboards lift away to reveal a hollow beneath Cater's desk. The rats have made free with the biscuits he stored there against the peckish that which haunts the entrepreneur, but they could not penetrate his iron lockbox. A moment with a crowbar will open it. So now here we have my fortune teller, whom I would like to use. Go hire another one in case this one fails, and here we have Lord Franklin Bancroft Diaries 1750 to 1790. And a Maravine Island. Idle. And an abandoned radar that we could be moving into. Not that that matters. Because right now I have bigger problems. If I'm lucky, this motherfucker fails. If not, well, I'll have to start getting creative. Or maybe we can open the way to the woods. If we have the right knowledge. The mountains glimpse. Approaching the white door. There is a house in the wood. I know something of that house. Enough to find my way to its light. Meanwhile, my visions are abating. I am safe for now. Oh, thank God. And now we send the fortune teller to destroy the evidence. Which he's not the best at, but he might succeed at. My minion has returned, stumbling, bumbling, clumsily bandaged. They were caught in the coils of their own plan. Well, next. Thankfully, the RNG gave me some time. Because the Inquisitor, or the weary detective, didn't find enough evidence. Approaching the white door, there are the bounds about the house, with their mists and their traces. This is the rock called the Temple of the Wheel, high as a church spire, patched with black lichen and daubed with eyesight. I round it, and there ahead of me is the white door. The light of the house leaks round its edges. In my dreams, I've passed the white door, which has been called the Bone Door and the Gate of Ivory. My voice remains outside the house each time I enter. So the white door you go into with in my dreams, I know the path to the white door through the bounds, but that path is thronged by the dead who pass that way. I will need health to resist their chill. Now I can approach the white door through the bounds. Now I can press my fingers to it, feel its chill, watch it swing open. As it opens, my mouth closes, tightens, heals over like a lost deformity. Around and about me is the cobalt light of the monsters. So this is the second level of the dream world, through the white door. I don't need a hulking fella. Lord Franklin Bancroft was initiated into the arts of the flower maker by the Rose Witch Fiona Ayrshire. He rose to become a society provider of occult services and secret pleasures before his abrupt disappearance in 1790. Bancroft seems to have been a talented adept, but devoted his energies to frustratingly whimsical projects, arranging grape-fetching races between nonsense spirits, teaching percussicants to juggle, and conjuring storms of imaginary blossoms for the Rose Witch Ayrshire, who resolutely refused ever to couple with him. Bancroft spends 20 pages bemoaning this loss. Oh god, it's an incel. I say jokingly. Please actually succeed. Holy shit, he succeeded. My minion has returned. I am a little safer. Unfortunately, I may have to send this minion out to destroy even more evidence because I have a bunch of notoriety lying around. Notoriety is bad, but it is inevitable. It's a measure of how much the world wants to see you put to justice. Or something to that effect. The White Door, a furtive truth. The White Door opens. Many of the dead enter the monsters through the White Door. They wander in corridors in silence until they are lost. Some embrace each other, some devour each other, some force their ways into the dreams of the living. A few record their memories on the monster stone where it is soft. They scratch it with their nails, you see. Last night I read one of those memories. The mantra here recorded is a high-end exacting magic which can be used to pledge one's spirit to the Watchman, beginning an ascent to his house. Bancroft boasts of his ability to recite it when in his cubs. He also had it set to music for a performance with fireworks at Vauxhall Gardens. An unmerciful mantra. Mercy, saith the Watchman, is found only in shadow. We call to the Watchman, who is not merciful. Nope, I don't want the hulking fella. Not that I mind murder, but not my way of doing things. Plus, he's only a 3. If you're gonna murder for me, murder properly. Some days are better than others. Brown Spintria usually display the act of shaping on their reverse side. The rest of it is the same as the iron one. I do not really want the strange streets by moonlight. For the record, strange streets by moonlight. Sometimes the light of the moon is a key to other spaces. I found a place where, for a night or two, the streets curve in unfamiliar ways. If I walk here, I might find insight, or I might be touched by madness. And I don't want to be touched by madness. That doesn't seem very pleasant. Another entry consultant. I don't need an entry consultant, though. Hooray! More tampering with records. And this notoriety will go away by itself. So now I am actually safe. And oh look, one of the things you can get through the white door is just straight restlessness. I am not taking that. I recall my dream. This was the lodge of blue silk, flapping in the winds of the bounds of the manse's edge. And here was its mistress, who welcomed me as she welcomes all travelers. Company is nice, she confided, but I still miss my Christopher. 10 years. 10 years and not enough. But we could not have been long together, not without touching each other. And you know what occurs when a man long lies with a long woman. Or perhaps you don't. I hope you don't. I won't tell you just in case. I will give you a tiny gift. She might be referring to something that, I am not going to talk about quite yet. A long, long man? Do I talk about what a long is? It's not... I don't know if I have quite all the information ready to talk about it for people who aren't willing to spoil themselves. It is esoteric shit, but it's not that complicated. So, basically, a long is the first step of ascension. It's when you cast away your mortality. You are quite literally long-lived. You are also no longer of the world. I would like to go back to the pools of hirelings, please. Now, there is a particular problem. Ooh, a professional muscle. Let's go kill some monks. Please take that out of context in a clip. Nah, I'm kidding. Don't feel forced to make clips. Hey, look. Hey, officer, you're a bit early. I haven't even gotten to commit the murder yet. I haven't even hired the muscle. Alright, let's go and assault some monks Viking style. For the record, there is no way of doing an expedition without getting any notoriety. You just get some notoriety for doing it. Probably because you're dealing with a bunch of shit normal people shouldn't be dealing with. And you know what? While I'm not using the talk verb, I might as well work on some of these commissions. So the short version is, these 4 people, this one not yet, but the other 3, will occasionally ask you to write lore. And they will pay you in Spintria, which are a more reliable way of getting them that also doesn't involve crimes. Of course, they all want very substantial lore, but I mean, I can write that, to be fair. This one just wants lantern. But yeah, these 5 individuals are special individuals. Well, I might go more into detail next time. I don't generally interact with the commissions very much. I don't know why. I just don't think of doing it. Maybe because selling the Spintria is a bit of a hassle, and you don't need that many if you don't sell them. Our strength is considerable. We should be more than enough. We should be more than enough for these holy fools. Holy shit. Now I'm trying to remember what I need for this fucking hospital. Also, I just realized I can make a painting. Ooh. But that's stacking notoriety again, isn't it? Their bodies lie in robed huddles, each indistinguishable from the next. Step over, move on. The monk's silence. You know what? Actually, that's a good capstone for the stream, so... We have about half an hour left to go, so... Plus, then maybe I can also do the Forsaken Reach. Well, maybe I say. I can definitely do it, it's nothing stopping me. Secret Devotion. The minister's bedchamber is grand in proportion but sparsely furnished. Beneath the window, a feathered ornamental axe rests besides an animal chalice drum on a little altar of yew wood. A reference to a couple of hours, I believe. The horned axe, the red grail, and the ring yew. Whom I'm sure we will read about eventually. You do get the idea of a theme that humanity and civilization is temporary, the esoteric is eternal, and you want to return to the dream realm or something. I wouldn't say return to. It's not like humanity is from there. It's just you want to go there in general. Like, the glory calls. Beneath the altar, in a box secured with a complicated triple knot, we find a trove of books, and more besides, a knife drank with old blood, a twist of cloth, a leathery remnant of something the minister must have surrendered at his ordination. Oh look, a Greek book we have already read. Sold. The Rose of Nuriel and the Rose of Wasnai. There are a bunch of Greek books that are the Rose of. And I'm not quite sure if there is an order to be reading them. But I can always look that up. Anyway, we have yet another potential headquarters. Hooray! It's it's less so that humanity and civilization is temporary, more than the past isn't fully set in stone. Kion at Abydos. A play dealing with the 9-year sojourn of a snow goddess in the Thracian city of Abydos by Apollo Fireweaver. It enjoyed success in London in its 1892 edition, when it was republished from, apparently, an older Greek text. The entity called Kion arrives in a blizzard and demands the city gates are barred. As Abydos falls under her spell, the dead return but do not speak. I think we need a fortune teller for the St. Agnes Hospital. Because unlike some other things, the hospital has a really nasty trick. Where it doesn't just kill the person who goes there. I don't think we need the bomb maker, but fuck it, hire him anyway. That'll turn into dread, that's fine. One dread isn't bad, it's when it gets to 2 that it becomes dangerous. For 8 years, the city is a place of slow death, frosty ecstasy, and a silent beauty. But in the 9th year, a conspiracy of shouts is mounted against the quiet that Kion demands. Conspirators open the city gates, and a scarred man comes to drag Kion out by the hair. Summer returns, but conspirators die of remorse. Gotta look that up real quick. There are apparently 3 books called The Roads of. Okay, so I'm missing one. Got it. Ooh, an icy atmosphere. That might be useful. I took the icy atmosphere and didn't read the fucking thing. Like a doofus. Because I'm planning on a bit of an interesting backup plan. Well, shit, I did it again. Because these vitalities can be used for something more than just leveling up your skills. But that is a lot less easy to do. Meanwhile, bomb maker, make some bombs, will ya? Or whatever you're making in there, I don't honestly care. That was not supposed to rhyme, but it did. For once, the strange streets by moonlight might actually be useful. Can't we just fuck people over with magic? Not directly. The influences... There is one magic with which you fuck someone over, but the problem is you fuck someone over at random. And considering that there are 29 people here who are on my side, plus these 5 people, no thank you. That is a 1 in 30 odds of hitting the weary detective. Ooh, another IT atmosphere. Alright, let's subvert a chilly atmosphere. A peculiar chill lingers in my rooms. Study with... Wait, I don't have the knowledge, do I? Because I didn't get to review Stum. God damn it. Well, that was my backup plan, so I guess we don't have a backup plan. I guess we raw dog it, and by raw dog it, I mean we hope for God we get lucky. What rights do we have, by the way? We can offer... So, let's see if we can actually do a right. Not like that, though. If I offer this icy atmosphere, can I do anything with that? I can summon one of the voiceless dead. Nice. Let's do a summoning. There are the dead who do not descend or ascend, but who remain in the monsters and dream of winter. The power of winter, along with a little of the heart's warmth, will draw them here. I just realized this chilly atmosphere turns into dread, doesn't it? That's not ideal. Let's explore the strange streams by moonlight and maybe go to bed early. While our follower does some occult business we have no business doing. Please don't be Dread. Yep, it's not Dread. Good. That means we at least have a chance to clean all this up. Be sure to update Limbus Company. It's up now. Well, I'm not going to be playing it today, but thank you. Oh, fascination. Yeah, for next time. Yeah, I gotcha. Cool. Yeah. What the fuck was that, though, Joel? Oh, for fuck's sake. Why is the rebellious spirit? Fuck off. I wanted to do a summoning, but guess not. I guess we're going into the strange streets by moonlight anyway. What did the spirit want? The spirit's rebelling against control, and you either struggle for control and potentially fail, and failing is really bad, or you just unsummon the damn thing. Pronounce the words of this bit. I'll just read what's happening. The summoning is struggling against my control. I could use reason to dismiss it safely, which is always reliable. I could try to reassert control with passion, which is not reliable. Or I could let what will happen, happen. Pronounce the words of dismissal. Seal the circle tight. Erase every trace. I picked the wrong dread to do that with. It's gone. We are safe. Good thing we have another dread to work with. Can I still do that summoning with the weak winter? Or do I need strong winter? Actually, can I use vitality and... Well, vitality isn't a matter of work. That's a problem. Okay, no, we need stronger winter than that. Unfortunate. The ultimate phase of power, Control Z. Yep. My bomb makers didn't make any bombs. What the fuck did I hire you for? Once I have more 6-tier or 3rd-tier lore, things using influences will get a lot easier. But right now I have to do it the hard way. Oh look! Bleak Thoughts! Just when I was about to get some dread! Because of course it is. And this contentment's about to expire too. That I cannot let happen. And of course now I get a subtle fracture. Because it wouldn't be our universe if it didn't have a proper sense of timing. Ooh, Martenside paste and a jumble. That reminds me, I need to be selling these fucking collections of poetry. Jesus Christ, Ojo. Let's try that again, but with a subtle fracture this time. An awaken chant. Summon one of the voiceless dead. Not that I believe that the voiceless dead is going to be terribly useful in this St. Agnes' hospital, but one can only hope. I actually think I should have probably done something with Lantern. Maybe I still can. Because I do still get to use the subtle flaw. I should have also read what the subtle fracture said. Oh look, more restlessness. A dark shape limned with winter light. It will not speak, but its eyes are avid, looking. The dead always long for the world. eventually. Now let's see if I can... If I add Edge, I might bring something out from behind mirrors. If I add Forge, I might contact something incandescent. Well, I don't have either of those as an instrument, but maybe... I'm not sacrificing Lord. And I'm not making victims, I'm sorry. So this is Winter and Muff, which I don't think is very useful in Sedagna's hospital, but might be useful in the Forsaken Reach. My curiosity is becoming a physical need. Sometimes the dead enter the monsters by the White Door. At its threshold, they lay down their power of speech forever. Call them back to the world, and they will have no voice, but their skin of dust are yours to command. The Forsaken Reach. Along the great banks of the rotting river, the warehouses wait. Perhaps I have identified one where an unusual cargo was stored. Let's find out. The law does not touch this decaying fringe of the city. The mud here has claimed many lives, and there will no doubt be some wretched criminals or other lairing in the warehouse. Time to get into trouble. Mud? Is that just quicksand? Do you not know? Mud can be quite bad, let me tell you. Especially if you're not prepared for it. Oh look, I'm sick again. So, we have Treacherous Ground and Watchers. So this time we will be handling the Treacherous Ground using Forge and not Lantern. The artist's reward is some fucking contentment. Thank God. By the way, you might be interested in knowing that as an influence, restlessness is actually quite diverse in its aspects, which is an interesting way of representing unease of mind. Your mind literally going in multiple directions. Anyway, we call upon the Mother God, who quells and quiets. The Mother God is an hour of Forge as well as Winter. Her power might quiet the unsteady earth. We'll probably be fine. Well, I didn't say that you knew that, but I said that you might find that interesting. Or did I not say that? Well, I didn't mean it like that in any case. We're much better than yep, that's the same as always. We're back real quick. Alright, I'm back. The expedition continues. The battles of renown are still going, but will be too slow to actually get me in trouble. Also, interesting thing you can use the Voiceless Dead for is deal with the evidence. Because for some reason, a literal corpse tampering with evidence is not weird at all. We are not a winter cult, we are the Mirror of Glory, we are a lantern cult. The cult you are is pretty irrelevant to the amount of summons you can have, and the lore you get is mostly down to the books you read. It's just that winter is one of the easier influences to get, so I used it when I got winter influence that I wanted to use for something else and then couldn't actually use for that. Common influence, because when you I don't know if you remember me getting that icy atmosphere from the white door. That's because it tells you when that icy atmosphere is there. That's pretty easy to get intentionally, and so that's an easy influence for things like the right of the map's edge. And influences are temporary anyway. Oh look, someone got. Oh look, my bomb maker got sniped. Well, I hope that my Voiceless Dead can do the job. I need to figure out if there's a way of getting a edge influence this low. Preferably without participating in augury. That's not necessary. Because that would be nice. Having access to an edge to some edge. I guess I could always just make that painting. That would help a lot. In fact, it is about that time. And we robbed the repeating place, so we don't have to worry about that either. The thing I should probably do, though, is at least try to get rid of the notoriety. Let's just take a buzzing in the brain, it's fine. A buzzing in the brain. In the midst of the journey of our life, I found myself in a dark wood without paths. It is difficult to express how wild, harsh, and impenetrable that wood was. I don't recall exactly what occurred last night in the peeling black between the trunks of the trees, where winged things moved beneath my hands. But now this morning my brain fizzes with fragments. In girum imus noc ete et consumimur ignis rum imus nocte et consumimur. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that actually means anything or not. I do know I can't do anything with this. A delayed delivery, a barred door, a cramped space, a hidden cargo. Tristan Interlude. The trend of immortality that this game goes towards is more ancient belief than recent. That's probably true. Hey, look, more pigments. That's nice. I'll discuss these in a second. Actually, I can make 3 paintings now. Hooray! I'm not entirely sure I understand what you're getting at, but it is slightly more involved immortality than just being undying, I suppose. Let's make a fucking painting. Actually, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Oh well. I can lose a few minutes. Also gives me more time to actually kill this this notoriety, hopefully. Optimism is the spice which saves lives. And now I have a fascination I'm just gonna kill before it gets out of control. Although storing a fascination is not a bad thing. And of course I get more restlessness. Should have fucking known. Nah, I don't need to put funds in it. We're about to make something real interesting in a second. Alright, so we're gonna make a painting that's slightly more interesting. You may notice that I have put some items here. These 5 here are laid out in the same way I've laid out my cultists by aspect. These are pigments. You can use these instead of normal paints to make your paintings. You can also paint about lore. Generally, this is something that the Suppression Bureau doesn't like. However, if you get enough lore and full passion into your painting, esoteric art, those who know will understand, as will the Suppression Bureau. So I am putting a lore of power 6 in here. Also the spirit turned back into a chilly atmosphere. Which I could technically, if I had 6 winter, turn into another influence. The colors are... And now I can put a paint in. Now I can buy some expensive paints, or I can use this refulgent here. A white so pure that it remains visible even in utter darkness. Now, as you can see, we've already racked up some notoriety for involving the lore. So generally speaking, it is not a good idea to paint about the secret world. Other focus. All I am is here. That's a normal line. This will show to best advantage in utter darkness, like us all. A worthy medium. I've made something unique, something extraordinary, something I will never dare to exhibit publicly. This cannot possibly ever see daylight. It will earn no funds. So the bad side is, you make no money. The good side is, you do get a painting. In this case, a lantern painting known as the Door in the Eye. He came from the glory. We cannot help but see. We also got an intensity of radiance. Light dews the skin and suffuses the air. So you use an aspected ink and to get together with something to paint about of sufficiently strong aspect to get to 10 of an aspect, and then you can make a special painting that's also a tool item. So now I have a permanent tool item of 8 lantern, which is a lot. That is in fact enough to start promoting everyone in my cult. But that we will be doing next time, because I am finishing up here. We have made the painting of the Door in the Eye. The Mirror of Glory can now roll out in full. So what's the max amount of lantern? There isn't really a max amount, but the lore only goes to 14, the influences only go to 15. You're never gonna get above 40 in a rite, and the highest you'll ever need is 27. Like, there isn't a hard limit set by the game, but there is the fact that you can only combine so many sources, and each of those sources has an individual, like, highest point they get at. Nothing's forcing them to stop, but there are only 7 ranks of lore. There's only influences until power 15, that kind of thing. Your cultists cannot really get over 13, and will probably not get over 10. But anyway, thanks for all of those who have watched me today. I have been Dojel, I have been your Cyber Stranger. Let's find someone to raid. And if not, I guess Nadian's still alive. Wait, what is Mary doing? I haven't seen Mary in ages. I mean, I raided Nadian last time. Then again, I know Nadian better. Oh well. So, let's go say hi to Nadian. She's playing Ale and Tail Tavern. Thanks for watching me, as I have said. And remember, don't be a stranger, because that is my job. See you next time.